Alright, Meek Mill just released his new album, Championships, November 30th. It has 19 songs and it runs for 1 hour and 10 minutes. The album cover, we see Meek Mill peering off into the distance. Championships is representative of him coming home from prison, as well as the Philadelphia Eagles winning their first championship. As you can see with the confetti falling, that's where that comes from. So I thought it was pretty cool for him to tie both of those things into the album cover. And then the font that Championships is done in borrows from No Limit Records, because back in the day they used to use that type of font. So he ties in a variety of different things into the album cover, which I thought was pretty dope. But anyways, moving on, singles, we have Uptown Vibes featuring Fabolous and Anuel AA. We have Oodles, Oh Noodles Babies, which I'm assuming is some type of food that he was brought up on in his younger years. And then we have track 18, Dangerous, featuring PNB Rock and Jeremih. Standouts, we have Uptown Vibes. It's the first single. Meek grabs Fab and Anuel for a Latin-based anthem. We have track 5, What's Free, featuring Rick Ross and Jay-Z. Meek asks the listener, what does it mean to be free, before giving his interpretation of the phrase. Rick Ross and Jay-Z follow suit. Meek says, made a few mistakes, but this ain't where I want to be. Before I'm judged by 12, put a 12 on my feet. Basically, he's speaking to the mistakes he's made in his life, and that he's a changed person and he doesn't want to be the person he was back then, and that he's matured. And he says, before I'm judged by 12, which is the police, put a 12 on my feet. And the 12 he's referring to is a pair of Jordans. And then we have Ross. He says, screaming gang gang, now you want to rap. Racketeering charges, caught him on the tap. Looking for a bond, lawyers want to tax. Purple hair, got them faggots on your back. This entire line is speaking to 6ix9ine, who got caught up in a situation. Screaming gang gang, now you want to rap. He's basically saying that when you first came out, you were screaming Treyway this and Treyway that. And now that you got caught up in it, you want to just say that you're only a rapper. And then the racketeering charges, caught him on the tap. That goes to the people that was in his crew being caught on the phone speaking about, plotting to kill 6ix9ine. Looking for a bond, lawyers want to tax. 6ix9ine was trying to bond out, but the judge rejected him bonding out. Purple hair, got them faggots on your back. He's saying that because of the way that 6ix9ine is in terms of his appearance and I guess his personality and demeanor, that's what drew a bunch of that attention to himself, which is kind of true. He got mixed up in the wrong crowd and it caught up with him. But yeah, moving on, Jay-Z, he says, in the land of the free where the blacks enslaved, 3/5 of a man, I believes the phrase. And that right there, he's basically speaking to a bit of an oxymoron. America is supposed to be known as the land of the free, but yet the blacks back in the day were enslaved and were only thought of as 3/5 of a human being. Then he says 50% of Douce, which is an alcohol company that he's invested in and is debt free. Yeah, 100% of Ace of Spades. He owns 100% of the Ace of Spades liquor line, so he's eating off of that too. Worth half a B. And he's saying that Ace of Spades is worth 500 million. And then he says, Rock Nation, half of that. He still owns Rock Nation. That's my piece. 100% of title to boss it up with my G's. Suppose my niggas won't ever work together. You run a checkup, but they never give you leverage. So basically, in those first couple of lines, he's speaking on the oxymoron of what America stands for versus what it claims to be standing for. And then he speaks on all the various investments he's made outside of music, to the point to where he doesn't have to worry about anything thus far, and his future as well as his kids and their kids' future is secure, which is dope. That's something everybody should want to, strive towards. And then he says, to boss it up with my G, suppose my niggas won't ever work together. You run a checkup, but they never give you leverage. He's speaking to offering artists such as Drake to come and work with him at Tidal and own a percentage of that. But he ended up rejecting that and going and working with Apple. And then he says, you run a checkup, but they never give you leverage. Yeah, they'll give you a check, but they're not going to give you a percentage of that company that they're paying you to promote your music on. No red hat, don't Michael and Prince me. And yeah, they separate you when you got Michael and Prince's DNA. So right there, he's speaking to Kanye West, the no red hat, the MAGA hat, don't Michael and Prince me. Michael and Prince were pitted against one another when they were both alive. Me and Ye, they separate you when you got Michael and Prince's DNA. Basically, he's saying when you have the type of artistry and skill of a Michael and Prince, they pit you against one another, basically to destroy you. Then he says, I ain't like one of these house niggas you bought. And that could be, he's basically speaking in two different instances. He's speaking to Kanye cozying up with the president, and thus he's seen as a house nigga. And basically Jay-Z's saying he's not ever going to be somebody who's, going to be seen in that spotlight. And then he says, and the people stole their soul and hit niggas with 360s. I ain't got 1 billion streams. I got $1 billion. Basically, people nowadays, when you sign the labels, they take everything you own, including your masters, any deal you get, regardless of if it has anything to do with music or not. The labels are taking a percentage of that. And basically, he's saying that people are selling their souls. They're signing away everything that makes them just for, a quick check without really understanding the gravity of what they're actually doing. He says, I ain't got 1 billion streams. I got $1 billion. Inflating numbers like we supposed to be happy about this. We was praising Billboard, but we were young now. I look at Billboard like, is you dumb? So basically he's speaking to these different companies inflating the numbers to make them seem more than what they are. Which, looking back, his company got in trouble for trying to do that as well. But yeah, I would rather have the $1 billion than 1 billion streams, because you're not really making a whole lot off of that. The companies like Spotify or whatnot are making most of the money off of that. And then he says, I don't jive, turkey. Say happy Thanksgiving Day. Shit sound like a murder to me. Basically, he sees what Thanksgiving is not what, the media portrays it to be. Is basically a way of washing down or, lessening what was done to the original inhabitants of this country. They were basically killed, and Thanksgiving Day was basically a giant celebration, as a result of that. So his eyes is very open on this track. I think this is probably one of the deepest records on the album by far, and one of my favorites. But we have Respect the Game on this record. Meek gives you the guidelines on how to conduct yourself in the rap game and life in general. We have Championships. Meek Mill recounts some of his trials and tribulations while kicking knowledge to those who are following a similar path. He's basically telling the listener to, not to follow the same things that he's doing, to be better than he was. Then we have 24/7 featuring LMI or LMA. It's a melodic record where Meek thinks about his girl all day and the thoughts he has about her. We have Oodles or Noodles Babies. Meek remembers growing up in the hood without a father and his mother being away at work all the time. This leads to a young man getting into things they shouldn't but do because of a lack of supervision and guidance. And this is basically true for a lot of people, especially young males growing up in the inner city. A lot of them get into trouble because they don't have that stern figure, steering them in the right direction. Then we have Dangerous featuring PMA Rock and Jeremih. It's the third single, and the three come together for a melodic banger. And then we have Cold Hearted 2. Meek talks about people switching up on him for the sake of money and things that he no longer does for them. And then he asks them, you complaining about things I'm not doing for you, but when was the last time you've done something for me? And he also talks about people counting him out when he was doing time, and he also thanks those that stood by him and continue to do so. So as you can see from like these records right here, he's touching up on a variety of different topics and subjects, which I thought was dope. And personally, I think that this was a very strong body of work. But anyways, moving on, sleepers, we have Intro, we have Trauma, On Me featuring Cardi B, Going Bad featuring Drake, Almost Slipped, Tic Tac Toe featuring Kodak Black, Pay You Back featuring 21 Savage. There's a line on there where he was like, I wish I was rapping in the 90s because you 2K niggas is weird. I thought that was kind of funny. And then we have 100 Summers and Stuck in My Ways. Skips for this album, we have Splash Warning featuring Future, Young Thug, and Roddy Ricch. And we have WTS or With the Shits featuring melii. My personal favorites are Intro, Uptown Vibes, What's Free, Respect the Game, Championships, Going Bad, 24/7, Oodles on Noodles Babies, and Dangerous. And my overall conclusion, I thought this was a great album. He addresses the justice system, both from a perspective of how it's treated him and of the system in totality. And I also like how he is very introspective, but he also gave us the bangers as well, which I thought was pretty dope, giving us the best of both worlds on this project. And I gave the album a 17 out of 19, which comes out to an 89%. So overall, this was a great body of work put forth by him, you know, especially being away for so long. For him to come back with something like this, I thought this was pretty dope. But anyways, if you're a fan of Meek Mill, be sure to pick up this album, stream it, buy it, all that. If you enjoyed my review, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.